right, shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off first and foremost by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Chachadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, a great millstone who rule and teach well, and peace, love, and salutations to the men out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity. This is your brother Nathaniel from the GMS Camp Atlanta, coming back at you through the Spirit with another lesson. I pray and hope that it's edifying. So I'm going to just jump right into it. I'm going to go ahead and play this video, and we're going to grab some precepts on it.
1. Dr. Richard King reveals that the core of the human brain is the locus coeruleus, which is a structure that is black because it contains large amounts of neuromelanin, which is essential for its operation. 2. Black infants sit, crawl, and walk sooner than whites. 3. Carol Barnes notes that human mental processes are controlled by melanin, that same chemical which gives blacks their superior physical and mental abilities. 4. Some scientists have revealed that most whites are unable to produce melanin because their pineal glands are often calcified or non-functioning. Pineal calcification rates with Africans are 5 to 15%, Asians 15 to 25%, and Europeans 60 to 80%. This is the chemical basis for the cultural differences between blacks and whites. And 5. Melanin endows blacks with greater mental, physical, and spiritual abilities, something which cannot be measured based on Eurocentric standards.
Now we gonna play that again, but now you heard that from Esau's mouth himself. Okay? But the scriptures have been saying that all along. Alright? Everything that this devil's saying, that one people is stronger than the other. So when you go to Deuteronomy, the 25th chapter, right? I'm Slakia. I'm sorry. Genesis, the 25th chapter. Genesis, the 25th chapter. And you go down to so we're going to start at verse 20, and it says, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? Because the children were fighting. You know, they were giving her a hard time. If you can imagine, you getting kicks, you seeing your belly get slapped around. You know, one side is all big and humped over, the other side all small, like they're really fighting inside. You know. So she said, and she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people separated from thy bowels. Now, as you heard him say, there are cultural differences between the so-called black man and the so-called white man, right? So there are 2 manner of people. There are 2 totally different people, okay? Now, they're the ones who said this, but this goes into the scriptures. And it says, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. Okay? So he also went into this, what gives the so-called black people their greater. He said that they sit, crawl, and walk faster before the so-called white people. And he said they have greater spiritual, physical, and mental abilities than the so-called white people. You see? And they chalked it up to being melanated. And, you know, that could have something to do with it. But the real reason is because we're the Lord's people. That's what it is. The Lord, he did that to us. He made us that way. You see? And it says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. The first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called him Esau. Now, why is it that they described Esau, but they didn't describe the other child? Because Esau was looking completely different than all of the other children that was around him. He was an anomaly. And he wasn't like an albino, okay? Because you can clearly tell that the albino seemed like it was stripped of his melanin. And you can tell. You can look at an albino and tell the difference, you know. You can look at an albino and say, okay, that's a Jake. They just ain't got no melanin, you know. But you can look at a so-called white man and tell, oh, that's a so-called white man. That's not an albino. That is a so-called white man. And there's a distinguishable difference between the two, you see. So this isn't like Miriam. When Miriam became leprous, she was looking like a white man, like a so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? But you can tell because she still had the big lips. She still had the woolly hair. You know, she still had the body of a so-called black woman. You know, but she was made white as snow, and that right there was what made people look at her like, what the hell is going on? And that's why Nathan was like, hey, please pray for her, you know, because that was a big deal. But now moving forward, the so-called white man, you know, he was born without any melanin. It wasn't stripped from him like it was with Miriam. It was just never given to him in the first place. You see? So now, you know, that's a mark, the mark of Cain, you know, the people of the curse is a so-called white man. But going back to the original point is that the one people shall be stronger than the other. All right? So we're going to grab some examples real quick. So let's go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. It's like something got in my eye. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. And I'm going to just start at the top. And it says, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently, very carefully, okay, unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy power will set thee high above all nations. So the Lord, he gave us the ability to be mentally, physically, and spiritually stronger and more powerful than every other nation in every way, right? And said that, okay, I will set you in the highest position in the world. Now, that's one, separation, and two, that's racism. Okay? The Lord said that he was going to set one people high above all the other people. Now, right now, you know, we got the so-called white man. He's sitting upon high upon all people. You know, that's okay right now. You know, when this dude's ruling, okay. But when you talk about Jake being in sitting high amongst all of the people, all high above all other people, you know, that's a problem. We have to be equal with all the other nations, but Esau doing it right now. You know. He's doing it right now, but this goes to show you that there was a separation made. The greatest people was put above all of the rest of the people. All right? Now what happened? Well, this is what happened. When you go down to the 15th verse, and it says, but it shall come to pass that if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe and to do his commandments and his statutes which I commanded thee this day, then all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So then you have a list of curses right here. Now if you look, after the 15th verse, you got 16. For the curses, you got 16 to 68. So there is 60, I'm sorry. There is about 40 something verses, right? About 46 verses, you know, around that area that goes just into what the Lord is going to do to you if you don't obey. All right. But then when you go up to the top of this thing, from 2 to 15, that's only 13 verses. 14 verses, man. That's only 2 to 14. That's only 12 verses. All right. So there were a lot of curses placed upon us to put us in this position. But overall, Jake is still stronger, faster, smarter, more spiritual than the so-called white man. And this comes by their own science, man. It's them. You know, the Lord is making their tongue to fall upon their own head. Okay. So I'm gonna go to Second Ezra's 2. You know what? That's not what I want right now. I'm gonna get Jeremiah. This is Jeremiah 13, Jeremiah 2, and I'm gonna start at verse 13. It says, "For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountains of living waters." This is where we get our power from. This is the one that set us up on high. This is the one that put melanin in put melanin in our skin. This is the one that put us in the position that we were supposed to be in, and he took it away from us. Okay. It says, "For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountains of living waters, and hewn them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water." So, that water is likening onto life, and life abundantly. All right. And what you've done is you our people have put ourselves in a position to where we live in a world that does not promote life, that promotes death. Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, he is as death. The God of this world is as death. Cannot be satisfied. Okay? So the Lord is the Lord put us in punishment. All right? And that's why it says in verse 14, it says, "Is Israel and homeborn? Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled?" You see, because we fell into the curses. That's why. It isn't because the so-called white man is powerful, or the so-called white man earned this world off merit. That has nothing to do with anything. Okay, the so-called white man had been set up by Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay? Okay? Give me 1 second, I'm going to get that precept. All right, so this is Psalms. I'm gonna come back to this. So this is Psalms 75 and 7, and it says, "But Yahweh is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another." You see that? So it ain't. You don't get put in your position because of your merit. You only get put in your position because that's what the Lord want to do. All right. And the Lord put the so-called white man in this position of authority because, as you just heard out of their own mouth, we're smarter, faster, stronger than they are. So how could the strong and more spiritual, how could the more spiritual, the stronger, the faster, the smarter, mentally, physically, and spiritually superior in every way, how could we be the race on the bottom? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If we're stronger, faster, stronger, faster, smarter, more spiritual, how could we be the ones on the bottom unless someone set this man up to be put in that position? And it says right here, Yahweh did. He set the so-called white man up. Okay? Going back to this Jeremiah. Oh, Salaki, the 2nd Ezra's. Oh, no. It was Jeremiah. 13. I'm going to read. Yeah, that was it on that. So where it says, "Why is he spoiled?" Well, we're spoiled because of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Because we did not hearken unto the Lord our power. So the Lord put us in captivity. Okay? The Lord is punishing us for our transgressions against him. All right? So this is Jeremiah 10:16, it says, "The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name." You see, so Israel is the Lord's inheritance. Okay, that's Yahweh Shai's inheritance. All right, and it says, Jake is the former of all things. Everything in the world was created by Jake. Everything, whether it be Yahweh Shai, or it came through the Alahayim, or if it came through Jake that invented something on the earth. Regardless to what, it all came through Jake. You see? It all came through Jake. But see, Jake doesn't get any credit for his labor in the land of his captivity. You see? Because this isn't a place of our power. Okay? But it just goes to show you that this white man, he knows. The so-called white man knows. He knows that who Jake is. Not all of them, but the elite certainly do. They know who Jake is. You see? But this is saying that, hey, Jake ain't like everybody else. Right? The portion of Jake is not like them. We're not like everybody else. For he is the former of all things. Why are you trying to integrate with people that you're above, man? You know? You're stronger. Why don't you want to be amongst your own kind, your like-minded people, man? You want to be integrated with these heathens. And we're not like them. We're above them. You know, and I ain't trying to be racist or anything like that, but hey, this came out of Esau's mouth. All right? It is what it is. You can't get mad at me for it. Let's play it again real quick. It's a short video. Let's play it again.
One, Dr. Richard King reveals that the core of the human brain is the locus coeruleus, which is a structure that is black because it contains large amounts of neuromelanin, which is essential for its operation. Two, black infants sit, crawl, and walk sooner than whites. Three, Carol Barnes notes that human mental processes are controlled by melanin, that same chemical which gives blacks their superior physical and mental abilities. Four, some scientists have revealed that most whites are unable to produce melanin because their pineal glands are often calcified or non-functional.
No, that's because you were cursed, okay? Let me, you know what? Let me, all right, I'm gonna grab this real quick and we're gonna play a little bit more of this. This is Isaiah 34:5. And it says, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea." And Idumea is a Greek way of saying Edom. All right. So when you go here, and you go to Idumea, you see that Edom. 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 That's what Idumea means, Edom. All right. And upon the people of my curse to judgment. So, you know, those people are the people of the curse, which is the no melanin. This is the mark. And, you know, I was just listening to the elder brother Mataza Zakba from the South Carolina camp, the head of that camp, and the elder was basically going into the mark of Cain, and now Esau is the one that's carrying that mark right now. Okay, so and it's a lack of melanin. All right, you are the people of the Lord's curse.
Pineal calcification rates with Africans are 5 to 15%, Asians 15 to 25%, and Europeans 60 to 80%. This is the chemical basis for the cultural differences between blacks and whites. And 5, melanin endows blacks with greater mental, physical, and spiritual abilities, something which cannot be measured based on Eurocentric standards.
So he just basically said one people is stronger than the other. Okay? He basically said that Jacob is the former of all things. You know? I mean, Esau knows. Esau knows. All right? Let me go back to Jeremiah. We'll go ahead and wrap it up soon. Jeremiah 10 and 16. Oh, yeah. We already got this one already, Salakia. So I'll grab this Psalms. And then close out on this. This is Psalms 16 and 5. And it says, the Lord is the portion of mine inheritance. Okay? The Lord is the portion of mine inheritance, and of mine cup thou manifest mine lot. You see? So the Lord is Jacob's portion of his inheritance. No other nation has that but Jake. Okay? And the things that we have, the heightened spiritual connection with Yahweh Shem Yahushai, the spiritual connection with Yahweh Shem Yahushai, greater physical and mental abilities, that's because the Lord gave it to us, man. All right? So, hey, it is what it is, man. You heard it out of Esau's mouth, the one people shall be stronger than the other. So with that, I'm going to end it off by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of our millstone. To the next time, I can say Shalom.